Matchup to matchup.
I,
Edmonton, Vegas.
every year, you can ask Sufi, continue to think that the Edmonton Oilers are frauds. Because, yes, they have outstanding talent. Yes, they have a very hard-working Zach Hyman. But you know what doesn't happen in the playoffs? Goaltending. Welcome back to the Unfortunate Diehards podcast. Hashtag number 61. Mark Stone.
I knew you were going to
Oh, excuse me. Thank you for clicking on our podcast. I'm Evan. I'm an Ottawa Senators fan.
I'm Omar. I'm your Leafs fan.
I'm Sophia. I'm a Caps fan.
Wah, wah.
No fun in that intro, man. Damn.
So we are a sport/hockey related podcast, and we're going to talk about what's going on around the NHL. But first, Omar, what is new in your life?
I'm hungry. That's what's been new in my life for the last month. I'm hungry.
Is it really new if it happens every year?
/ thirsty.
It's new because it's a different time of year every year. There you go.
Exactly. Yes.
Yeah.
So that's the new thing. But you know, Leafs just beat the Panthers last night, so I'm feeling pretty good.
I was watching that. It was like, Leafs, settle down.
It was 6-4,
Well,
wasn't it?
the first two periods, it was like Leafs were just on something.
I was asleep after that.
Yeah. And then third period, I didn't see the third period, but I just kept checking the score, and I was like, wow, it's 5-3. Oh, it's 5-4. And then anyway, they won it. But you know,
This is the Leafs.
They fell asleep a little bit in the third period, as they usually do when they have a big lead.
I need to see more high-scoring Leafs games in the playoffs. They got to get the other teams to open up because that's the only way they'll win. Who was in net for the Florida game?
Yesterday was Bobrovsky.
The other team, your team.
Samsonov.
Samsonov.
There you go. Okay. Fair.
But yeah. And Sophie's Caps are in a playoff spot.
Let me get to him.
Spot, bro.
Sufi, how are you? How are you as a person? What's new with you?
The Caps are in a playoff spot. That's pretty much everything.
That's pretty much everything. Our lives revolve around
studying for exams. I'm working. That's pretty much it, man. That's all that's new in my life. My most exciting moment of the week is when I can talk about hockey for an hour and a half.
As is ours.
Cannot relate.
And Evan, how are you doing?
Oh, I'm tired. I worked a lot at my job this week, which, unlike Omar, I'm not done at 5:30 and can just be home because I work from home. I have to move all day. Anyways, piglets were born today, and they were super little. And this one cow that I gave a bucket of food because she's going to give birth soon, she literally was so hungry, she put the bucket on her head and like tilted upwards and put it up against the wall and licked it clean.
Oh, that's really cute.
It was hilarious.
That's going to be Omar in about an hour and a half.
Yes.
And I drove a John Deere tractor all by myself.
That's very on brand.
Thank you.
Good.
All you gotta do is put a country song on and drink a beer while you're doing that.
Damn.
Not at work.
That's as white as you can get.
At work, he drinks cow milk, and he gets on your tractor.
Yes.
Cow milk's got 12 ounces.
Oh my god.
All right, now we can get to the silly teams. Obviously, touched a little bit on Toronto. Anything else you'd like to add?
No. Full swing in the playoffs. Matthews at 62 goals. Let's see if he hits 70.
I hope he gets to 69.
Not funny.
Stops.
Not 69. I mean, I could see that actually happening.
You know what's weird? He's never had a 50-goal season, but he's had two 60-goal seasons, and the rest are just 40 seasons.
Yeah.
That's hilarious.
He goes all out when he wants to. But yeah, so 8 games left in the season, and he needs 7-8 goals actually. 8 goals
It's
in
eight
Did he
goals,
miss any games
eight goals,
though?
8 games.
He hasn't missed any games. Has he missed games this season? No, I don't think so. He hasn't missed any games this season.
He didn't like elbow Rasmus Dahlin or anything.
But the he's actually scoring at the same pace he did in a 60 goal season, which is funny because he missed 10 games 9 games that season. He had 60 in 73, and this year he had 60 in 73, now 62 in 74. So it was actually the same projection. But he's potentially going to miss games now. He's not going to play the remaining 9 or 8, whatever's left. For
The only
sure.
way he plays the last game if he's at 67. That's like the cutoff. If he's at 67, he'll play the last game.
Yeah, I think chances are he's going to miss 2 to 3 games. So I don't think they're going to prioritize
Size?
getting 70.
Maintenance.
Just with like such few games left. I mean, as soon as the playoff spot is also clinched, which it essentially pretty much is, but as soon as it's officially mathematically clinched, I'm pretty sure Matthews is going to be off at least 2 games.
I don't know. I think having a hot Matthews going into the playoffs should be the most important thing. Don't rest him.
What do you mean? He is hot.
But yeah, he's hot in more than one way.
I think we can all safely disagree with that statement.
That's haram.
Yeah, that too. Not during Ramadan, bro. Come on.
But yeah, we'll see we'll see how much he plays of the last 8 games here. I'm hoping he plays all of them so he can get the best shot at getting 70. But
Any injury news?
it is
Or
what it
is
is.
it just like I know Giordano
Riley is meant to be coming back tomorrow against Tampa. Marner is going to be out until the weekend. Giordano, I'm not sure.
Do you know when they played the Caps, Giordano wasn't even on like their official roster list?
Yeah.
They just last second decided for him to play. He wasn't on the actual NHL.com roster.
I feel like Giordano should just rest the rest of the season and then he can play in the playoffs if he needs to. Also, his goal against Washington was quite nice. I'll give him credit.
It really wasn't, bro. I was watching that. It wasn't. It was a shot in the middle portion of the net that went right past my goalie's blocker. And this was right before, and there was no one in front. There was no screen, and he shot it from
yeah, exactly. It was a nice shot. It was nice in stride.
I don't know, bro. That looked like it didn't look that hard. Nothing. That's because I was texting.
Not that hard. No.
I was like, he saved like 3 straight Matthews, like some of Matthews' best shots that game, but he let in that point shot from Giordano, and I was like, this is just can't do this right now, man. Whatever.
But yeah, Evan, how are your Senators doing in the closeout?
They're on a win streak, bro. Don't laugh.
5
yeah, I know.
game
it's always,
streak.
but it's always the same thing. They're always at a win streak at this time. They're always ending the season like, oh, if we played at this pace a few months ago, we'd be in the playoff race.
If we didn't have Travis Hamonic, we'd win the Stanley Cup.
It's just so funny that they always.
But the sense this season it's just been streaks of both kinds. It's been like they're on a massive win streak, they're on a massive losing streak. It's been like
I think this is tying our longest win streak. It's only been like 5 games max, but losing streaks is more.
I know. I'm saying like they go on streaks of like long losing streak and a good size win streak. There's a good one. Maybe they'll just win all the rest of the games. They have like a 0.01% chance. Make the playoffs.
Yeah, I guess. Are they actually not mathematically out yet?
No. There's not that many teams to be fair.
That's surprising.
Yeah, like the Sens are playing all right. There's not really much to add because, like, we're not going anywhere. Ostapchuk's played decent. Angus Crookshank is up, playing pretty good. Tyler Clevin was called up. Big body on defense is something we need. Korpisalo's actually looked decent. And Kachuk maybe gets to 40, which would be pretty big. First 40-goal scorer, probably since like mid-2000s. So,
he's got to go on a run here though. He's got like 9 games left, and he needs 7 goals. It's gonna be
for who?
If he ends up with like 35 and 35, that'd be pretty good.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, the point totals aren't looking as nice as they were last year. I think I was talking about this with Nick. It's just maybe it's the system, maybe it's the coaching change. The top 6 just wasn't as consistent as they were last year. And maybe that has to do with some injuries, I guess, but Josh Norris hasn't looked that good. Dussel isn't scoring, but he's still like,
Yeah, he gets. I swear, he must have like 40 secondary assists. He has had like
probably.
so many 30 or 3-point games where they're all secondary assists. Like
Yeah.
it's the Josh Norris 2-goal special.
He's shooting considerably less this year. He only has like a 9.7 shooting percentage, which isn't that bad for a guy that only has 18 goals. Like, in comparison, Brady Tkachuk has 313 shots, and he has a higher shooting percentage. Fair enough.
But when Batherson is on his game this year, he looks amazing. Drew's smart. Just trying to pick out positives.
There are none.
Goofy.
Pinto? Pinto's been positive.
Oh, Pinto's been really good actually. Like I could say, because he's one of our like 4 true centers. Because Giroux plays wing, Kachuk plays wing. I think he's our best center that we currently have.
Shane Pinto.
Like how he's playing right now.
How he's playing, he immediately when he came back, not only is he scoring at a pretty solid pace, like goals and assists, defensively he's super aware, like back checks hard, like he's a dog.
He is playing for a contract now.
That is true. So if he falls off, he had a good run. I will remember this.
All right, and
Sufjan,
your
so
girl.
is
My team definitely
Alexiev
has the most going on. It's just like
and Miro Shkenka-Brenkalov.
Mirozinichenko. We're clinging on to that last playoff spot with our negative 31 goal differential.
What?
Yeah.
How bad is the Sens?
Yours is better than ours, I'm pretty sure. Hold on. Yours is negative 17.
What a dumb.
Oh, no. That's not even like the Penguins, Devils, Sabres. They all have better um, goal differentials than us.
When the Caps lose, they lose.
Not recently. Actually, yeah, recently as well. Thing is, like, for the last week, we've kind of just been, it's been like win, loss, overtime loss kind of situation. Thank God we're done playing Toronto. Oh my
They play
God.
Tampa today.
We play Tampa today, or you play Tampa today?
Sorry. No.
Caps play
Well,
Sabres.
you play Sabres today. Leafs play Tampa tomorrow. Sorry, mix that
Yeah.
up. Yeah.
But the thing is, we've passed the hardest point of our schedule. You remember what I was saying? We were playing like playoff team, playoff team, playoff team, playoff team. Now we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 against teams that are either on the brink of playoff or not in the playoffs. And then we only have like the Canes and Lightning and Bruins that are actually in the playoffs, which is a positive, but I don't know. I'm excited for us to potentially make it. I really hope we win a game in the playoffs, and that's kind of just where I'm at. There's not really much to say. I mean, like, I think in the last week, Oshie's been injured twice and came back twice. That's pretty regular. Sandin is coming back tonight. He was injured for a bit, but like other than that, it's been pretty much status quo with the Caps.
So as of right now, if playoffs were to start today, they'd be playing Boston, right?
Yeah, but the thing is, we either play Boston or Carolina or the Rangers. Like, it's not. It doesn't really get any easier. Whereas you guys play Boston or Florida, which is kind of wild. You're pretty much guaranteed to play either Florida or Boston.
Yeah, I mean, there's no other option.
There's no escaping it. But
There's
yeah,
no.
no, the playoff picture now is like, so the Flyers are at 83 points and they're at 76 games played. We're at 82 points with 73 games played, so we still have a very good shot at getting the third Metro spot, which I don't think anyone thought would happen at the start of the season or even midway through the season. Because we're 1 point back with 3 games in hand, and then Detroit is behind us at 82 points, so they're tied with us, but we have 2 games in hand on them as well. So the next 2 games against the Sabres and Pens are very, very important. But yeah,
I have a question to pose.
no.
If the playoffs were to start today, with today's current matchups, how far do you think each Canadian team would go?
The Leafs
So
against
we have
Florida.
it would be Toronto, Florida, it would be Colorado, Winnipeg, it would be Vancouver, Nashville, and it would be Edmonton, Vegas.
I'll be honest, I think the only Canadian team that wins their first round matchup, and even I'm not that confident in it, is Edmonton.
No, I think Vegas is going to beat Edmonton. I think
I
Vancouver could
disagree.
beat Nashville.
That's the one that I'm like most certain about. I think Nashville beats Vancouver.
I mean, yeah, that could also happen. I
Yeah,
feel
but Sufi's also on crack.
And
well,
I think the Leafs against Florida is a tougher matchup than Leafs against Bruins.
no, Leafs for Florida is a better matchup than Leafs Bruins for
That's your opinion.
Leafs
Colorado
specifically.
Vegas is going to be like a 7 game series, I would say. That one could go either way. Vegas is or Winnipeg's a little not great right now going into the playoffs, but you turn it
Hey,
on. The reason I say Edmonton over Vegas
we
is
just beat them.
Edmonton is hot going into the playoffs, where Vegas is kind of sputtering, but Vegas also gets like half their team back in the playoffs. So
Birdo practiced the other day, so I
yeah,
think he's coming in shortly. And
they got
then
to figure out some cap space issues.
Stone's going to be ready day one of the playoffs. So.
They say they might stress it out game 2 so they could make so they could get them off their
um, but
LA could still miss the
so
playoffs by the way.
so you would say that okay? You think how about you, Evan? What do you think between Edmonton and Vegas? Who do you have on that then?
Edmonton, Vegas.
Yeah, if right as of right now, it's Edmonton Vegas round one.
Oh, I thought you were talking about a Canadian team that would do well.
That's what I mean. Between so I'm going with matchup to matchup.
I
Edmonton Vegas.
every year you can ask Sufi. Continue to think that the Edmonton Oilers are frauds because yes, they have outstanding talent. Yes, they have a very hardworking Zach Hyman. But you know what doesn't happen in the playoffs? Goaltending every year. And doesn't matter if Connor McDavid scores 35 points in 3 games because he's probably going to let in 36.
Does that really apply here? Skinner's better than Thompson.
Sure. But the point is, like, Vegas won last year, and you can't knock, like, winners and winning and bringing other talented players into that, like, matchup. And even if Edmonton does win, I really don't see them winning the Stanley Cup. Do I see Vancouver winning? No. But
So I
I feel like
agree.
Edmonton's a very popular Canadian casual fan to pick win.
Oh God, come on, man! You're gonna pick Winnipeg, and that's not the same thing.
No. I'm just speaking in general. Like I just like everyone I know and their mother is like, oh my gosh, the Oilers! I think we're gonna win Clint McDavid. It's not like basketball. One player can't play every minute and dominate a game for you, even if he's the best player we've probably seen in the past however many years, if you want to argue that. So, like,
I
their depth
agree that
scoring better
Edmonton.
be like
Yeah,
active and scoring throughout the playoffs as well, and their goaltending better be up to snub because I don't think both those things will happen throughout the entire playoffs. They totally can, but I see other teams beating them out.
I agree. I feel like Edmonton for at least the last 4 years or so, at least, has been like number one Canadian team. Like they're gonna make it. They're gonna make the finals. Actually, not even Canadian team. Just out of the West, Edmonton's gonna make it. Edmonton's gonna make it. Edmonton's gonna make the finals. It's always that pick. Even not even just Canadian team discussion. Just generally in the West. But I mean, they've done one conference final in that time, which is impressive. But like apart from that, yeah, they're like usually second round and out or something.
But this is class. This is why sports books make so much money on people because that's what a ton of people want to happen, not what they think will happen.
Yeah.
And so what I'm saying is, I don't think that the Edmonton Oilers will go far. Would it be cool to see them go and see McDavid throughout an entire like 20-game playoff run? Absolutely. But is that realistic with the team that he has? Yes, lots of talent, but
it is realistic. It's just you're going off like things that have happened in the past. But the thing is, like, it was
But
No, no,
really.
I don't
things that
talk
happened
about things that happened in the past. I would
But then,
say,
no,
I
I'm
would say
saying it's always like this roster is a winnable roster going into the playoffs. It just hasn't happened yet. It's still realistic that it can happen this year.
it's a
No,
winnable
I'm not
roster,
saying
but
like
that
I'm not
goes
saying they can't
against
win. I'm
more
saying
winning
it's
rosters.
unlikely.
Because if I'm
But so
looking
is
at these
every
teams,
team.
if I'm
But
looking at this
I'm just
team
saying I
stacked up,
don't see them winning the Stanley Cup. If there was a gun to my head, I'd probably pick 5 other teams before them.
that's fair enough. But for me, I think going into this playoffs, at least how they played this year, is a little bit different, and like how the system has changed in our block as well, where they are a little bit more responsible defensively. They have a little bit more talent defensively, especially on forward, where guys are really changing their game to fit a little bit more of a playoff style. That's why I think that it's more likely this year that they're able to get over that hump. And also, I also see their competition as being a little weaker than it was when they went on that run 2 years ago.
Yeah, Vegas' team doesn't look that good on paper. Sonk.
But I think that Vegas is still vulnerable because I think that they have players coming back that aren't full health. They also have shoddy goaltending, and their defense has not been great this year,
Players that aren't full health. Are we sure about that?
allegedly.
I think Stone's going to be pretty healthy.
Allegedly. But I mean,
I think Shea Weber's going to
their
come back.
additions haven't been good.
But
Like,
also the other side of it is that yeah, sure, it's not like, although when they got to round 3, like that was all because of McDavid and Draisaitl. So like,
And
no, that's
can
what I'm
they do
saying.
that
yeah,
every
That's what I'm
game
saying.
for 20 whatever games?
I
Well, no,
mean, they
100%.
almost did it. They
I
They
think
almost did
need
it that
other
year.
people to win a series.
Yeah,
They also did that.
but they almost did it that year, is what I'm saying. Like,
They almost did it that
they're
year,
literally
and now
one thing away, one more thing going their way, away from
Mhm.
the finals. Like, if them two continue to play like that in the playoffs, then
Which is
if they get
fair.
But
a
what if they
little bit better
don't? They have
goaltending,
every year. What if they don't?
no, if they
But
get
again, you're saying you're not applying the same logic to that you are to the rest of their team.
I know. I'm just being devil's advocate.
no, if they get a little bit better goaltending, let's say, a little bit better, or a little bit better play from a bottom, a bottom line or something like that, that little, like that marginal improvement is probably good enough to get them into a
Mhm.
finals if McDavid and Draisaitl do the same thing they always do.
But the thing is, McDavid Dressel usually elevate their game in the playoffs. They even played like similar to what they are in the regular season into the playoffs, but the rest of their team isn't completely ghosted. I think they have a good chance of at least making it past the first round. And once you get past Vegas, you're looking at more of an open shot to make it to the final because you're not facing as strong of a Colorado team. You're facing maybe a Canadian team that I don't see as better than them. And I think the biggest challenge in the West is Dallas more than anyone. Not Vegas, not Colorado, not Winnipeg, not Nashville, not LA or St. Louis, whoever makes it.
Also,
But
here isn't
I would
Draisaitl a
argue
bit
if
off
your
his pace?
point is Draisaitl and McDavid are capable of doing this, yes, they absolutely are. But who's to say like McKinnon and McCarr can't repeat? Who's saying like Eichel, Stone, and the boys can't? Who's saying that Hellebuck doesn't win like 2 series because of himself because he's an absolute madman? Like it's a fair point, but like the absolute opposite could happen. Like if they let's say they play Winnipeg,
Mhm.
Hellebuck might literally have like 3 shutouts in a series, and like then just one game the goal scorers just have to win it. Whereas,
Mhm.
but total opposite could happen. I'm not saying it's unlikely. Like he could get lit up because those players that are such high talent just play at even
Arguing a
higher level.
similar point here, man. Because like I think that aside from Dallas, a lot of these teams are going to need one or two guys to really step up to get into the final. Where I think Dallas is the only team that has insurmountable debt or depth that can actually just make it to the final without their star players performing. That's the only team I see that's like they can make it to the final without like Robertson performing as well or Hintz performing as well. That's the only thing I can see. Colorado, if McCarr or McKinnon don't perform, they're not making it to the final. Vancouver, if Quinn Hughes or Pedersen don't perform, they're not making it to the final. Edmonton, we know if those two guys don't perform, they're not making it to the final. Vegas, it's the same thing, man. If they don't get a stone that's like exactly the same as every other playoff stone, and the injury is such no, but the thing with this injury is such a mystery as to what it actually is, and we're all making the joke that he's going to come back in the first game. That's not even a certainty. That's what we're just assuming. But right now, the indication is that he won't. that from Vegas is that he won't be there until mid to late playoffs, if at all. So it has to be at least more serious of an injury. And the rest of Vegas isn't that special to me, considering like Eichel hasn't been that great this year, right? Like,
He was injured. When he's played, he's been good.
and that's fine. But again, that's what I'm saying. Going into the playoffs, he's going in not
I just
on his
don't know
best
if
either.
I just don't know if Vegas is that heavily reliant on like one or two players being that great though. Like as a team, they're built
They
really
don't need to. Like
yeah.
they have depth.
They have a lot of depth and
Their
their
depth
defensive
isn't as
game is
good. Like they aren't playing as good as they used to, though.
yeah, but they know how to play in the playoffs and they have a style that works in the
And
playoffs.
that's fair enough. And the thing is, like Vegas, if they have things go right for them, again, that's what I'm saying. Things go right for them. That Vegas and Dallas are similar in the sense of like, yes, okay, they have depth, but I think that Dallas just has higher end depth. If you know what I mean, like they're like Dallas's third line washes Vegas's second line for me. Yes, their third line is like Ben Wyatt Johnston and Mason Marchment. And the second line for Vegas is what Carlson, Marchessault, and Smith, or not even Smith. Who is it? Who's it now? Like what's his face? Cotter or something?
No way it's Cotter.
No. And we don't know where people are gonna
Or
slot
Mantha. Yeah, but
playoffs.
Mantha's been horrible since he went to Vegas. Like but that's what I'm saying.
I'm just saying a healthy Vegas lineup.
The way they're indicating it as it just isn't a healthy lineup right now.
See,
That's what I'm saying.
how many of the teams in either out of every single playoff team right now in the league, how many teams would you say are less reliant on a couple of guys needing to play really well? Like Leafs are fully
Dallas,
reliant on three, four guys needing to play really well. Edmonton's really reliant on two guys needing to play really well. Vancouver's same thing. I would say Vegas and Dallas
I
are
don't think the Avalanche are as reliant.
yeah.
where is
as
Avalanche's depth though? It's like have you looked at their team compared to what it was a few years ago?
But Mikko Rantanen can if like you said, if one of the other Makar or McKinnon don't perform,
They have
like
one extra superstar.
Rantanen, even if both of them are on like a lower tier, but if Rantanen raises to that tier they're on, and Devon Taves and pick someone else, if Jonathan Jordan goes nuts just on a line, like I'm not saying he's the guy that's going to do
That was
something.
any team though, man.
But that's the point. Like
I would
you
put
never
yeah,
know.
that
And
with
like
Edmonton
size in the playoffs
I
for
could say that with
defensemen
Edmonton.
has been a trend years after, like years in the past. So if you have a goalie that's drafted in the first round and all your defensemen are over like 6'2", you have a good shot of making the final four.
Okay. I don't know. I can't.
That was a stat that happened year after year.
But I can also say the same thing about Edmonton, where two of their best players just didn't perform in that one playoff run that they went absolutely nuts. Where McDavid and Draisaitl went absolutely nuts. Like I could say that RNH will be a solid first liner and he'll help boost the team in scoring wise. I could say that Zach Hyman won't be as bad as he was in that playoffs this year. And I can say Evander Kane might do anything and it'll be a positive thing for them. I think the difference is that like with Colorado, they have one extra superstar, so that's fair enough. But the rest of their team from like second line to fourth line just isn't as good as it was when you had guys like Kadri or Burakovsky.
You have Arturi Lehkonen, the
Who's
playoff
on the
killer,
first line,
who just scores big
Arturi
playoff
Lehkonen is
goals
on
for
their first line. He's
absolutely no reason.
He's a good 45, 50 point guy. He's not going to win you a series. And the
I would say
goaltending
Dallas
50 points in the
and
playoffs
Abs
this year.
also have the worst goaltending out of any team that we've talked about right now. Georgiev has been horrible this season, and he wasn't good.
Kemper didn't have to be that good for them.
Kemper had like a 920 save percentage, though. Georgiev has like an 890.
I'm just saying.
That good isn't even a thing. Like he just needs, he needs to have a 915, 920, but he hasn't done that ever.
I could find a game.
Okay. All right. I think we've talked enough about the rest of the NHL.
So I would say that in my opinion is Dallas and Vegas are probably the only two.
Dallas. Well, in the whole NHL.
No, out of the playoff teams right now, Dallas and Vegas are the only two right now that I can be like that don't rely so heavily on specific players needing to perform that well.
Vegas, I understand what you're saying, because they don't have any player that really stand out. It's like Eichel can be that player, but he's been point a game, which isn't as special as he used to be. So it's like he's a good first liner. I don't know if we're gonna agree or disagree on that. He has the ability to be special, but he just hasn't played like that since he came back from his back injury. Okay. So Vegas isn't as reliant because they don't really have the superstar. But I'm for me too, like I could say that about Carolina and Florida as well.
Actually, forgot about Carolina. Yes, I would agree with Carolina. Yes.
And Florida for me, like we've seen stretches of where Kachuk isn't up to standard or Barkov isn't up to standard, and other guys on that team have stepped up, especially like lower down their lineup and their defense.
All right, for this portion of the podcast, Sufi is going to host somewhat a monthly award. Ooh, Omar just won an award if we leave that in. So Sufi is going to name off some players, and we're going to come up with an all-star for the month of March in the NHL.
Okay, we'll start with centers. It really just comes down to two guys, like it has been the whole season, and gotta try and base it off the month. Yeah, you can guess it.
McDavid.
Yes. And
McKinnon.
Yes, their stats this month are eerily similar. So it really comes down to who you vibe with more, I guess. Because Connor McDavid's 7 goals, 24 assists, 31 points in 15 games. McKinnon, 13 games, 11 goals, 16 assists in 27 games. I tried to find something different in terms
27
of
27 games?
27 points in 13 games. McDavid, 31 points, 15 games. So like basically the same. And then I was like, you know what? Let's see their even strength points and power play points. McDavid has 21 even strength points. McKinnon has 19. And they each have 10 and 8 power play points. I don't know. Like they both have 2 game-winning goals. Like
I'm going McKinnon because he's on my team.
I'm going to go McKinnon too because we picked McDavid enough.
That's what we're trying to avoid here, man.
Yeah, McKinnon's going to go farther in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Scrub McDavid out of here.
No, not because of that. Because
can you guys give better reasons?
All my fantasy team's a good reason.
Oh my god.
McKinnon is an absolute horse. This is potentially his career year this year. I'm
talking about the month of March.
I know. And March, even though he's had lots of dominant months, it was just, I felt like every time I checked, it was goal, 3 assists, 2 goals, assist, like close game, blowout, anything, he was getting points every situation. That's my guy.
I could say the same thing about McDavid, but like fair.
Never heard of him.
I mean, I could say the same. You could say the same thing about either or. I'm just going off
vibes.
The team that's like better.
I mean, I don't know. Edmonton was pulled from the depths of the earth by McDavid. So
no, but we're talking about March specifically, right? I'm not going back to
the better team was Edmonton
in March specifically.
Would I be saying it otherwise? But again, if you're gonna say it just because of the team, then just pick McKinnon. Because regardless, like the reasoning doesn't make sense regardless. So okay, we'll go McKinnon for center. Left wing. Again, it's really just 2 options.
That kind of.
It's 2 guys that we've picked before. No, it's Panarin and Forsberg. Panarin has 9 goals, 16 assists in 14 games. Forsberg 12 goals and 11 assists in 13 games. Very similar to the year to the month that he actually did win. Panarin has 18 even strength points. Forsberg has 15, so Panarin does have him there on a rate basis. I'd go Panarin, but
I'm going Panarin as well. I think his impact on that hot-ass Rangers team is undeniable.
Panarin.
I think Panarin's also a sneaky MVP candidate that isn't really talked about like one.
I think he's just a sneaky guy.
Yeah. He also is having like his best goal scoring season ever. It's nice. Right wing. Right wing is going to be another. We'll see what you guys do here. It comes down to Rantanen and Kucherov. Rantanen has 23 points in 13 games. Kucherov has 22 points in 11 games. So I'd say that Kucherov has him there. Kucherov has 18 even strength points. Barrington has 15, so he has him there as well. But Kucherov also has the most even strength points this year out of anyone, which is surprising. But fair enough.
I'm going Kucherov because not just because he's winning in a couple of those categories, but I mean his play at this level is very much needed for Tampa to be in the race for this long and be sticking at that wild card spot. So without him, I don't think they'd be making the playoffs.
I mean, that's a fair assumption. I'm going Kucherov.
No.
Defense is where it gets interesting. I think defense. So for left defense, it comes down to three guys: got Yossi, Ekholm, and Werenski. So the points, you can take what you want out of these: 16 points in 13 games for Yossi, 14 and 14 for Ekholm, and 14 and 15 for Werenski. The reason I'd advocate for Ekholm is that 14 points, all of them have been at even strength. He plays almost 2 minutes a game on the shorthanded, and he doesn't get any power play time like the other two guys. So I think that's where the points are affected. But I think he's also a really important player for Edmonton this month to make sure that they challenge for a top spot in the Pacific. I think he's the biggest reason outside of McDavid and Draisaitl.
Well, it's not only that it's the points wise, I don't think Ekholm gets that much power play time, if any at all.
He doesn't
get power play time.
No, not at all.
And so most, if not all of his points are even strength. All his goals, his assists, and at the same time, he kills penalties. He does. It has to be him.
I love how you just said exactly what Sufi said again, and that's your reason.
It was the only reason.
No, it's just the reason I said this whole thing, and then you just repeated the whole thing.
It's the reason I picked him a week ago for my
That's true. Actually, you did say that.
For my weekly
I actually technically copied him.
I am gonna agree. And it reminds me of Ryan Whitney saying he gets secondary assists, passing it to Crosby, and he just goes up the ice and scores.
I don't even know if they're primary assists or secondary assists, but doesn't say anywhere on here. We'll assume the best. For right defense, it comes down to three guys. Two of them have been here before. One of them just had an amazing month and is expected because he hasn't been as good the rest of the months compared to what he usually is. Evan Bouchard, 19 points in 15 games, 1 goal and 18 assists. Adam Fox has gotten this 2 or 3 times now, but he's been amazing all year. 17 points in 14 games while playing a ton on shorthanded as well, more almost as much as Ekholm actually, according to this. And Cale Makar, 17 points in 13 games with 6 goals. Yeah. I'm kind of between Makar and Fox here, not really Bouchard as much. Feel like he's gotten the 1 goal, 18 assist months quite often.
I'll go Fox.
Oh. I'll go Coyote.
Huh?
Coyote?
Ah.
Fantastic Mister?
Fox? You're voting for Fox?
Jamie?
That's a character arc.
I'll go Fox because again, I think.
Well, it doesn't matter what I vote.
Yeah,
I wasn't gonna vote Fox, so
what?
Yeah,
you said I'm voting Fox.
I love Fox, and I think that he's been great all year, but I'd probably go with Makar for this month, to be honest. But
Evan, you're the tiebreak.
I have no problem with Fox. You already picked Fox, bro.
What?
Oh, you picked Fox? Okay, I didn't.
Oh, they picked Coyote. So I don't know if he means JJ Moser.
No, I mean the fierce animal that is Cale Makar.
Okay, we're going Adam Fox.
What?
You just said Makar.
I'm joking. Okay, Makar. And then for goalie, the goalie one is interesting. No one really was crazy. I'm gonna get called biased here, but you guys can make your choices.
I'm not picking Kemper.
I'm definitely not picking Kemper. We got 3 guys that are kind of in the mix here. Cam Talbot played 10 games, 222 save percentage, or 222 GAA, and 920 save percentage. Didn't play as many games as these other 2 guys, he didn't play as many games as the first guy. But Binnington, not 246 goals against average, 925 save percentage in 10 games with 6 wins. And my boy Charlie Lindgren, 245 GAA, same as Binnington, or one less than Binnington, and 919 save percentage with 9 wins in 14 games. He had the most saves last month, which is pretty much why he's here.
I'm torn between Lindgren.
Wait, Omar. Should we give it to him? Can we be nice?
But yes, I'll go Lindgren.
Oh, I'm gonna go Lindgren as well.
Hate you guys. I'm actually gonna go with Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen.
Ookie pookie.
He had a 296, 898. Honestly, the goalies have not been great this month. There was an honorable mention for Freddie Anderson, but he only played 7 games, so you can't really pick him.
All right, now we're going to move on to our underrated players of the month. We've each choisired, for those non-bilingual listeners, that means chosen, a player in this past month that has exceeded expectations, in our opinion. Omar, who's your player?
Mine, for the month of March, is none other than Jordan Binnington. He played 10 games, 2.45 or something goals against average. He got 6-7 wins, or he's 6-3-1 or something. I'd say him. He's been hated on a lot in the last couple of years, and he had a good
Rightfully
month.
so.
Yeah, rightfully so. But he had a good month. I'm going him.
That's fair. I mean, he could have easily won the goalie of the month. So
yeah,
he did have 925 save percentage as well. Evan?
After looking at stats, person that I was most surprised about, that we have spoken about already today, is actually Charlie Lindgren, when you think about it. If the Washington Capitals want a shot at continuing to be in the playoff race, they need good goaltending. Charlie Lindgren has been that for them. Consistent, makes a save when you need it. Minus 31 goal differential, doesn't matter. He makes my Sufjan happy. What else could I want in life?
Get out of here.
that's the plays the Leafs. That he lets everything in.
Yeah. That was tough. Leafs, but those are he only had 2 bad games, and it was against the Leafs. Fair enough, good pick.
You're up.
I'm gonna give some honorable mentions because there's one guy that really stands out and is gonna prevent me from taking my homer pick, which is Dylan Strome, who had 18 points in 15 games, 4 goals, 14 assists. Been great all year. You needed him to step up. Also, Gus Nyquist is another honorable mention, but I think we've talked about him a fair bit, so I'll leave him off of it. And my most underrated player of the month is Nick Schmaltz. 21 points in 15 games. 5 goals, 16 assists, 20 or 15 of those at even strength. He had a really kind of slow start to the year, and he was injured for a bit, so it's nice to see that he picked it back up. But yeah, Nick Schmaltz. Nick Schmaltz and 2 goalies. Fair enough.
Now, Omar has been kind enough to select a stat game that definitely doesn't make sense, but Sufi and I are going to try our best to conquer this. Omar, explain.
I do have a question first. Does it involve an actual stat?
Yes.
Okay.
How many blue-eyed players?
Good start, I guess.
Okay, this one's going to be pretty straightforward, I think. I think it's just about how fast you guys can get to these answers. Top 5 this season, only this season, top 5 teams who have the most loser points, overtime losses, the 1-pointers.
One, two, three. Islanders
Islanders are number 2.
and
Well,
Boston.
I should say tied for 1 with Boston, yes.
Yeah.
Both at 15.
How many strikes do we have on this?
I'm going to give you 2.
Detroit might be one, Sufi.
Do they have loser points?
Actually, you know what? I'll give you 3 strikes because after the first 2, you might not
Yeah, I
accept.
was going to say the first 2 were easy. I don't know after that, though.
Yeah.
Detroit. I know Philly has like the same record as Washington.
Wasn't
many
it Toronto? Or they just always won in extra time?
Yeah, they always won in overtime.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
So it
not
could
true,
be people that
Yeah.
play Toronto a lot.
That's not true, actually. The only hint I'll give you is in the first half of the season, the Leafs probably had one of the, if not the most, OT losses. And that's the only reason they were in a playoff spot at that time in the first half of the season.
Golden Leafs then?
If that's changed since then, I'm not commenting on that, but
Is he baiting us?
Yes.
We'll save it. Habs.
Preds.
Habs are number 5 with 12 OT losses.
Skull. I knew it.
You need
12.
number 3 and number 4.
I think the Caps are like 9 or 10. What? What?
Should we say the Predators?
Could. But I think if there's a team that's that low and Montreal
Yeah, if
has
Montreal's there, Nashville can't be there, obviously.
I'm just saying like it is possible for it to just be like a bottom 5 team or something like that. That just loses a lot in overtime. So like the Ducks or something. Like
What's a team that's like hard to play against, but would lose a lot?
I mean that's just
Philly?
wild.
Not
Wild.
Philly.
Philly, I think, is very similar to the Caps, so I don't think so. I think they both have like 9 or 10. And the cutoff is 12.
We know. Oh, 12.
Wild?
Me?
Yes.
Mini or Preds?
Oh, I thought you said Wild with such conviction. I thought you just guessed. I was like, okay.
Oh, no. Wild or Preds?
We thought of Preds first.
All right. Evan says Preds.
All right, the Preds with 4 OT losses are number 29. That's strike 1.
They're wrong by that should be 2 strikes. Jeez.
Well, go with Wild then. That was your guess.
Wait, I feel like I know this. They won a lot of overtime games. Because Forsberg is absolutely nuts in overtime. Also, Wild would be like 32nd. Vegas? Vegas or King or LA could be here too, actually.
Yeah.
I literally just looked at all the team records when I was going through the teams and I can't remember this. Oh,
Vegas.
all right.
Vegas? Vegas with 8 is number 13. That's strike 1.
LA.
Are you guessing LA?
No.
Yeah.
Okay.
Who else are we going to guess?
Mini or Calgary.
Florida.
No, Florida doesn't have that many. Of
Unless
the top tier teams, the only team that
Tampa.
could be Tampa.
Tampa.
But Tampa's nuts in overtime.
Tampa.
All right, Evan says Tampa.
No, I don't. Unless it's right.
Give me a guess.
Sufi, you say something.
Calgary.
Buffalo.
Is Calgary your answer?
Yes.
Yeah?
No.
Yes.
Calgary has 5 and they're number 23. All right. Number 4 is currently a bottom 5 team. Can you give it to me?
Ottawa.
Anaheim.
No.
Columbus.
Columbus. Number
I did see
3. Number 3 is not a bottom 5 team, but they're also not a playoff team. They're in the middle.
Detroit.
No.
St. Louis.
Nope.
Minnesota.
No.
Seattle.
Seattle. So we got Boston, New York, Seattle, Columbus, Montreal. LA was number 6.
No, yeah,
Then we have Pittsburgh, then we have Philly, then we have Washington, and then we have Minnesota at 10.
Yeah, I knew Philly and Washington were like close. I knew it was less than 12.
So actually what I did was, because this stat game got me thinking, I made a little Excel spreadsheet of what the standings would look like if the OT point didn't count. Because I was like, I wonder how much of a difference it makes. So I did what the current standings are and what today the standings would look like if OT points didn't count. And generally, it's the same, except for a couple of things which are actually quite interesting. If OT points didn't count, right now, the New Jersey Devils would have the third division spot in the Metro. And Tampa and Detroit would have both wild cards, so Philly and Washington would be out.
Did you
And
give it as like? Did you give it as regulation points would be 3 points and overtime ones would be two? Because
I did it
that's the only way it would change.
I did it as regulation wins would be 2 points and OT points are worth nothing.
Because I remember seeing something like this where it was like, because there's like a thing that it might change where uh regulation wins would be three, overtime wins would be two, and OT losses would be none. And in that case, I don't know who has more regulation wins between Detroit, Washington, Philly, but I think Washington has them in that.
I just did it like the NBA method, which is you don't get points for losing in OT, and you just get the same amount of points if you win a game, no matter what. So I didn't do any like if you win in OT, you get 2 points. If you win without OT, you get three. There's no benefit of going to OT if you lose. And there's
Yeah,
no benefit of going to OT if you win either. You win, you get 2 points, you lose, you get nothing. That's all I did. But yeah, it's
yeah,
interesting.
it is interesting. I do think that with regulation wins, though, it'd be nice to have that as more, though, right? Like if you're able to win a game in 60 minutes rather than in a 3-on-3 overtime.
Yeah, but it's just no league has that, right? Well, no big league has that. Like NBA doesn't do that. Premier League and stuff, you get 3 points if you win.
I
If
mean,
you
it's a
lose,
tie.
If you really think about it, a team could go 12-0 and 70 and make the playoffs.
yeah,
70.
Because then 70 plus 24 points. So they'd have 94 points.
94
That's
points.
potentially a playoff spot.
That's in the mix at least.
And they would have never lost the game in regulation.
Yeah,
Oh, we're talking about like with the current rules.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
You could have 12 wins and make the playoffs, technically.
It'd be kind of funny. I feel like the Islanders are pretty close to that. Islanders in Boston.
All right, so I'm doing the roster game. I pick a roster from any point in time, and I get them to guess players that were on this team. So, we've done one side of this before. Now we're doing the other. Can you name me people on the 2010 U.S. Men's Olympic roster
Oh, cool.
that played Canada in that finals?
Mhm.
Bill Guerin. I scratched that. Zach Parise.
Okay,
Was Bill Guerin on? Is Bill
Sufi
Guerin
has one of his strikes already.
Is it my turn?
Yeah.
Phil Kessel was there, right?
Phil Kessel was there.
Zach Parise.
That is correct.
Who was the goalie? Ryan Miller.
That is correct.
After that, it gets dicey, man. Holy. Mike
Hard
Modano on
part
this.
is remembering who's American.
It's not even just American. In 2010, who was
2010
American?
especially, who's American?
We can't go like James Van Riemsdyk or something like Kane. Oh,
2010.
wait. Is he American? Brad Richards?
Are you American?
I have no idea.
Brad Richards is incorrect.
Okay. So I'm guessing he wasn't American or he just wasn't on his team. Oh,
TJ Oshie?
no.
TJ Oshie is not correct.
Oh.
I might be out now, to be fair.
I didn't think it was this hard.
2010 is just a weird spot in my brain, man. That's the problem.
I'm trying to remember the
Like,
games they played against Canada.
it could be
Those
like-
are the ones I really watched. I'm trying to remember who was on the team.
Same. It could be like Mike Modano or like
Hmm.
Chelios or something. You know, they just always have like these old dudes on the team. Mike Modano. Pretty sure he retired.
Mike Modano is incorrect.
Oh,
So Omar has already won.
It's usually the case. You're gonna say half this team and I'm gonna know all of it. So
And would you like to keep going?
okay. So my turn.
we're gonna discuss this together. Say Chelios.
Nah. Who else was on that team? Like, So if it wasn't TJ Oshie, Phil Kessel was on it.
All these guys are.
Patrick Kane.
Patrick Kane is correct.
Yeah, of
I was
course.
thinking him, bro. I was thinking him,
You
but I
said
didn't.
him out loud, Sufi.
Oh yeah, I did. Turco.
Oh, was it Jonathan Quick?
That is correct.
Okay.
There must be another one though.
Um, who else is American that was big
Ooh,
back then?
say Dustin Brown.
Patrick Kane, Dustin. Oh, Dustin Brown. You think so?
I'm already out of the game. You can take my word for it.
Well, there's also
Dustin Brown.
there's like Pavelski.
He was young though at that point. I don't think he really broke it. I mean, you could say Pavelski's best safer bet than Brown, I guess. I don't know. I'm
I
pretty
didn't
sure
know this
Pavelski.
was a team game.
Well, it
Okay,
is now.
Pavelski.
Joe Pavelski is correct.
I got you, bro. Say Dustin Brown.
Okay, let's go to Dustin Brown.
Dustin Brown is not incorrect.
Oh, so
Let's
it's
go.
good.
Okay. I got you, bro.
Who's left? Who's American?
All these guys have been Dan Girardi. Like, could be
2010.
him.
Who were the big American guys in 2010?
I don't know if that's too long ago, but I could see it being him. Or like
Let's see. So
Steven.
who are some players that are like retired now that had to? Also, I haven't thought of one defenseman. There has to be a big defenseman on this team.
Suter. I think Suter is on this. Yeah,
All
Suter.
right, let's go Ryan
Hey,
Suter.
Ryan Suter is correct.
Yeah, fucking
Hey.
hell, man. I know all these.
Who else is a big American guy?
You see, that's the thing. The gap between is all the players that are playing now and then all the really old
Yeah.
guys like Chelios. Like,
Let me see. Like, okay, there
Like
were some
Dyke?
teammates. There were teammates across from Canada USA team too, right? Like there was
that's why I thought Brad Richards, but I don't know if he's Canadian or American. So
who was the other? Didn't
Keep
Doughty
track
have
on
like
this team.
wasn't there an LA defender, American LA defender?
Wait, is Shane Doan American or is he Canadian?
I thought he was Canadian, but that could be wrong. I don't know.
I think he might be. I think he might be Canadian. So we'll just leave that. He's from like Manitoba or some shit.
2010.
Ewan Dyke.
Nah, not in 2010.
You see, that's what I'm saying. The gap in my head is literally just Jason Blake.
Who was the other goalie? 2010. Who were the big goalies?
I'm going to
Turco.
push you for an answer.
Okay, wait. 2010 big goalies. Tuukka Rask, Canadian, right? Tuukka Rask, Canadian.
Is Finnish.
Sorry,
How does this guy beat me in these, bro? My God.
Tim Thomas. Tim Thomas.
Tim Thomas. Tim Thomas. It's Tim Thomas.
Tim Thomas.
That is correct.
Yes, yes. Good.
Okay, so that's the three goalies.
There's gonna be like other Boston guys on this.
Who else was on like Tampa guys, Rangers guys? Martin St. Louis was Canadian.
I'm pushing again.
Oh, come on.
If
David
this wasn't a
Backes.
team effort, I wouldn't be
David
so strict.
Backus.
Sure, David Backes.
That is correct.
Let's go.
How about
I'm so locked in now that I'm not actually playing. What other guys were on? Like Matt Green or some shit. Like Andy Green. Scott Gomez.
really? Scott Gomez was crap.
In 2010, maybe not. Brian Giunta, like one of those guys.
Ryan Callahan
That actually could be right. That's the problem.
or what's that guy on who was on Pittsburgh as well, who played with Crosby for a bit?
Didn't Ryan Whitney play in this Olympics?
I don't know, maybe. I'm not sure.
Yes, no, Whitney's on his team. Guess him.
Sure, Ryan Whitney.
That is correct.
Oh, look
I
at
remember
that.
this from the podcast, man. My God, I'm such an idiot.
Yeah, how about
Ugh.
what's that guy's name again? He
I'm
played
telling you right now, I think Brian Giunta or Scott Gomez or both are on this team.
it was Kunitz, Crosby, and this guy. And then this guy had some kind of medical issue. He stopped playing for a bit. I think it started with a D, his name.
Dupuis?
Yeah, Pascal Dupuis. Was he
Isn't
American?
he Canadian?
Yeah, actually, that name sounds Canadian. It's French.
Pascal Dupuis, I think, is Canadian.
All right, let's go.
I know. Brooks Orpik.
Sure, Brooks Orpik.
That is correct.
Let's also just say Ryan Callahan because I thought of him earlier.
Sure. I mean, I'm not, so it's you.
Are you guys cheating?
No, bro, this is me. This is all coming to my head now.
I'll just slowly
I wish
work.
Ryan Callahan is also correct.
You're giving
Say
us a lot of
Deonta
time.
or Gomez.
Sure, Gionta.
No.
Gomez.
No. Okay, you're done.
Okay, you're done.
All right, people you missed.
We lost our
Jack
luster.
Johnson,
Okay, not really, man.
Tim
Eric Johnson.
Gleason, Eric Johnson, Ryan Malone, Jamie Langenbrunner, Ryan Kessler,
Oh, that's a big
Chris
one.
Drury, Paul Stastny, Brian Rafalski, Bobby Ryan, and that's it.
Oh, Bobby Ryan. Yeah, I forgot. He never
Bobby
deserved
Ryan's
to
catching,
be there, but
Bobby Ryan's catching some heat on Twitter right now.
for what?
I don't know, it's kind of bad press for him, so I might just save it till after. But, yeah.
All right, that's it, and that's perfect timing because I
The
actually
fact that team almost beat the juggernaut of Canadian team back then, and I look at the Canadian team and the American team now, and it's like so much closer.
yeah.
I'm scared.
Well, that team also they had that comeback in the gold medal game, so
Yeah, that game was insane, man.
yeah, they scored like 2 goals within a few minutes, and one of them was in the last 30 seconds or something.
One of these days, these things, the team will come back to me, not in the moment of like helping you.
Thank you for listening to our podcast today, guys. We really appreciate it. From Evan, Omar, and Sufi, we thank you. I hope you have a lovely rest of your week. We will see you next time, and you can find all of our podcasts on
Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, Google Podcasts,
Sure.
Stitcher, iHeartRadio, Sirius XM. Catch us on YouTube. Follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok at The Unfortunate Diehards. We'll see you next time. All right, folks.
All right.
I'm out. It's almost time.
Bye.
Bye.
Yeah.